The door all but buckled in its frame with the force of the knocks. 3 terse, resonant thuds. They needed to be heard. She froze. Water, laced with old blood and dust, dripped from her hands onto the floor, meandering towards the clogged drain. The fan whined, its mechanical lament mirroring the foreboding sense of what was about to transpire. Outside, the wind remained utterly still. Not even the finest grains of sand dared to skitter across the pane. The silence before the impact. Her phone flickered from the corner of the sink. A crimson alert. Eviction confirmed. 24 hours. But it wasn't merely that. Not anymore. Behind her, her brother slept, hunched, the threadbare blanket pulled taut to his chin, as if that meager fabric could serve as a bulwark against the world. She drew a ragged breath, the guilt searing beneath her skin, hotter even than the unforgiving desert sun. No one would come to save them. Not from that kind of menace, not from that profound silence. Here, she was merely what they labeled her: thief, useless, an encumbrance. The accusations invariably preceded her, her reputation a shadow. Their gazes ran when they fell upon her, cut like blunted blades. Yet still she would answer the door when someone coughed blood in the pre-dawn hours. Yet still she would utter, yes, when her brother asked if they could afford to wait for the medicine. Beneath the loose board, the paper, a folder containing illicit data, a path that, if followed, could reverse everything, or obliterate the little that remained. Names, figures, dates. Too much evidence, too much truth, but to expose it prematurely would be akin to striking a match inside a gas tank. She touched the paper. It was warm, alive, and then a sound, low, deep, tires sliding with surgical precision. Many, the kind of arrival that neither asks permission nor brings hope. Who moves like this when the world is on the brink of collapse? Initially, the descent began with minor missteps, a request for clarification, a seeded rumor, a donation that vanished en route. Then, the collapse. License suspended, a terse headline in bold print, a crudely spliced video circulated, her car, an envelope, a compromising angle. The name behind the smoke had a ready smile and heavy rings. Zahir, cousin to the man in power, a silver tongue, eyes of glass. She remembered the day he had arrived with unsolicited flowers, his gaze sweeping the clinic. He smiled as he left. The trace of his perfume lingered for an extra minute. When things begin to reek of impropriety, one's very skin learns. The day unfolded in disparate moments. A boy with a scraped knee, his eyes reflecting a fear far greater than the wound, his chin trembling at the sight of the needle. She knelt, pressed her forehead to his, breathed with him, and presented the syringe as one would a bird. The moment passed. An elderly man brought eggs in a box, a payment in kind. She accepted with a half-smile and noted in her worn ledger, a debt repaid in gratitude. Alcohol in the air, the clatter of metal trays, the snap of stretching gloves, heavy footsteps in the narrow corridor. Occasionally, a cutting phrase broke the silence, and they stole with angelic hands. She wiped the counter, her movements firm, and replied without looking, "The thief has a constricted soul. Mine still breathes." At night, when the heat no longer fought but merely pressed down, she would let her head drop into her own shadow for a minute, and he would return, not as an image, as a scent, expensive incense, a spice infusing the silence. Her skin registered a step, heavy, mathematical, a hawkish shadow in his eyes, hers learning not to meet his gaze for too long. No woman lasted with him, they said. A wall offers no embrace. She persisted in the dream of a future, and fell when she understood that a promise built on air is but wind. She fled, not for gold, but for fire. Promises fall like fine rain. They dampen without cleansing. And what if love becomes a target? Late afternoon, the councilman arrived with a document too rigid to be folded without force. He recited theatrically, orders, deadlines, fines. "Until tomorrow, doctor." Her gaze settled firmly on his mouth, unwavering. "While my pulse still beats, no one leaves this place without due consideration." He gave a wry twist of his lips. "Who will protect you?" She did not raise her voice. "Character." The man departed, his steps measured, as if assessing the very walls, and gauging a courage that could never be confined to a clipboard. Once the engine's drone faded from earshot, she washed the floor, not from grime, but as ritual. Cold water streamed, carrying a trace of blood, a scattering of dust. Fear is not purged with the first rinse. It takes 10. And still, it lingers. In the alley, the narrow-eyed neighbor propped herself against the doorframe. They say you absconded with money from the bank. They say you established this clinic merely to feign sainthood. She took a breath. People say a great many things when their mouths are full and their hearts are empty. You ought to seek forgiveness. Forgiveness is reserved for culpability. I have work to do. She stepped inside, locked the door, rested her forehead against the wood. She heard her brother's muffled cough. She drew the blanket up, covering him to his chin, adjusted his pillow, and checked his inhaler. A subtle incision on her own arm, a memento of a protracted night, throbbed faintly as she smoothed the sheet. The scar spoke volumes about her origins, and why she remained. Beyond the charted world, he had conditioned his body to the hour when the city slumbered. When the sand dunes fell silent, he would ponder. The compliant convoy flashed its headlights in a choreographed display, seemingly tailored for his sole benefit. Power in motion. The desert resided within him, stone and fire. He understood the gravity of his name. He comprehended the full measure of any potential downfall. He wielded influence over licenses, banks, and councils. And justice, at times, is merely a set of scales with a hidden hand tilting the balance. For years, no one had witnessed him falter. Up close, only his shadow perceived the subtle fissure beneath his sternum. When his soul seemed to rise to his lips, a fleeting hesitation would snag his words. He termed this a crosswind. Few had ever heard it. She, however, had, once, and she had not laughed. He recalled the precision with which she had bandaged a boy amidst the market's dust. He remembered how she offered solace without making a single promise. He remembered that when he tested the limits of his power, wondering if it could procure all, she had returned him not a knight, but a stark mirror. She had fled, leaving behind a wound that no photograph could ever capture. At the bottom of a drawer, he kept a phrase unuttered, a ring unoffered. Now, the dossier he had dispatched for awaited its fate, not for her sake, but for his own. For he questioned whether he was not merely reiterating the very mandate he had sworn to dismantle, to save by means of binding chains that inflict pain. The incense lit itself unbidden. Custom, it seemed, preceded him. At the clinic, she slid out a panel, examined the dossier, counting its pages with the precision of one monitoring a heartbeat. She stowed it away, pushed with her palm, and heard the soft, reassuring click. The burner's flame flickered, gas dwindling, a minuscule blue still stubbornly clinging to existence. The fan sputtered, ceased, then resumed. Her phone flashed anew, persistently, like an unanswered alarm. She clutched the device with both hands until her knuckles blanched. She shed no tears. In the fractured mirror, her own eyes appeared like fathomless wells. To the glass, she declared, "I will not flee." And yet, her legs instinctively yearned for an exit. The sounds of the neighborhood seemed to converge, pressing in. A distant radio, a hesitant dog, a faltering generator, a prayer tracing a delicate line across the night. She aligned vials, verified needles, folded linens. She penned a terse note and tucked it beneath a glass. "If I'm out, I will return. Do not open for anyone." She pressed a kiss to her brother's forehead. She touched her nose to his, an ancient ritual. Her heart faltered twice, then regained its steady rhythm. Scents permeated the air. Alcohol, heated dust, aged metal, and something else. Incense. Expensive. The kind whose presence instantly announces itself. Was it memory embodied? Or destiny poised at the threshold? She recalled the night of the menace. A veiled threat. If you speak, his mother will fall. She kept that paper, as one would preserve a death warrant. She chose silence as her form of protest. His body was a bulwark. Within, a bridge tethered by fragile threads. Within her, the very same bridge. Unknowing mirrors. Desire and fear in a silent salutation. Chilled hands. restless eyes. No woman ever stayed with him. They would reiterate. She sought to endure for the right reasons, and she departed before love could morph into a weapon. What holds greater value, to honor oneself, or to shield one who remains oblivious to their peril? The tires approached like disciplined thunder. 1, 2, 3, several vehicles. They parked with pinpoint precision, unhurried, devoid of superfluous sound. The corridor, excessively long for such scant walls, bore the weight of an ancient secret. Grains of sand scudded against the window pane, whispering in an alien tongue. Her brother stirred faintly, his body sensing the palpable danger in the air. She straightened her plain dress, secured a wayward strand of hair, pressed her spine against the concrete mound, and lifted her chin. She laid her hand upon the wood. On the other side, she sensed the palpable heat of a life that would arrive, accompanied by enforcers and an ominous silence. What salvation is there when the supposed savior arrives bearing gilded shackles? A shadow touched the window before the defunct doorbell dared to emit a sound. Muted footsteps, subdued voices. She required no names. She simply knew. The scent of cardamom and hallowed smoke permeated the corridor and grazed her skin. His gaze, unseen for months, already grazed the nape of her neck in memory. She swallowed hard. She thought of her brother. She thought of the file. Her thoughts drifted to the bank, the council, the girl due back for her vaccination. The world condensed into a second and ceased. Comment below what you would do. If you believe in second chances, leave a 1 in the comments. Does she turn the key and invite the past, complete with bodyguards? Or does she shove the bolt shut and hold the desert at bay? The black cars, queued in a line, mirrored the meager light of the alley. The silence outside mimicked the chaos within her. The fan finally died for good. The air hung still. Her heart, however, did not. She breathed shallowly, counted to 3, and pressed her ear to the door's crevice. He was there, not as a memory, but as a dynamic moving force. His voice came, succinct, crisp, unhurried, open. Or must we learn to speak of pain from the outside? Her hand trembled. The latch groaned. What holds sway now? The dignity that has sustained her thus far, or the chance to salvage everything by crossing the threshold that once ignited? She turned the key slowly. The latch groaned. The heat entered first, dense, and with it, expensive incense, slicing through the dust like a fragrant blade. He occupied the doorway, tall, precise, 2 men a step behind, eyes trained for impassivity. She lifted her chin. She yielded no ground. His gaze mapped the clinic in seconds. A flickering lamp, a dead fan, scratched metal trays. Her brother, frail on the cot, his breath shallow. He gestured for silence. The men retreated into the alley. Only the 2 of them remained. The very walls seemed to listen. She positioned herself between him and her brother, a slender body before a bulwark. "What do you want now?" Her voice came out low, firm. He paused for a breath and spoke, the wind a palpable presence between them. Without threat, urgent. "Zahir," he said, "it's not bad luck, it's a plan." The revelation cut clean. Isolate, subdue, if necessary, obliterate. Names, dates, movements. He spoke as one confessing a sin he had not perpetrated, but comprehended only belatedly. She clutched her throat. The world, suddenly, made too much sense. Why do you care? Why today? He looked at her brother, took 2 steps, knelt beside the cot. His knee touched the warm floor. His hands adjusted the sheet. The most powerful man bowed without a word. "I lost someone on a night like this," he said. No one opened the door. The gesture pierced her defenses. Brief, profound. She steeled herself. "What do you want in return?" He stood up, dust clinging to his costly attire. "I need you alive and in place. Protection, time, and later, the truth, when it's safe. Until then, I will brace the roof, with my bare hand if need be." "A roof supported by a powerful hand often collapses at the most inopportune moment," she retorted. He nodded as one burdened by his own culpability. Not a promise, an act. He dialed. The bank answered, trepidation palpable on the line. He requested documents, He pressed the issue of the error, immediate suspension, 72 hours. The yes from the other end shifted the air's density. Time. The gold she had nowhere to store. She expressed gratitude without uttering thanks. He accepted without demanding acknowledgement. Between the two, a modus vivendi settled. Neither peace nor war. And what if the time purchased becomes a snare? I have proof, she stated. He evinced no surprise. I expected as much from you. And that is why you bleed twice. Zahir loathes women who illuminate their own path. The phrase lingered, incandescent in the corridor. The shadow in his eyes receded by a degree. He extended an envelope. Internal audit. Diverted donations. Duplicated signatures. Arrows circling Zahir's name. If this surfaces through my hands, it becomes a vendetta. It needs to emanate from your dossier, from your voice. Only then will it not sully the truth. She asserted the rule. I speak when and before whom I choose. He concurred. In concurring, he subdued the instinct to command. It pained him. It liberated him. Can power exceed without losing its very essence? Let's go to the car. A live call with the council. You speak. I will bolster you, he stated. No favors granted. No allegiances declared. She gazed at the board. Her brother. The door. It was like stepping into the sea at night. The alley seethed. Cars gleamed, indifferent to the dust. They opened the first door. She paused, circumnavigated it, stopped before the second. She would not repeat past missteps. He understood and took no offense. If you prefer, we can converse here, beneath this meager lamp. She inhaled and chose the first car. The cool air enveloped her like water. Her shoulders relented by a centimeter. He entered, maintaining his distance. The interior light illuminated softly. Engine off. The world outside awaited an outcome. He connected the call. The board chairman's voice emerged, cautiously somnolent. She spoke first. Numbers, dates, names, dispassionately precise. When the other end attempted to prevaricate, he interjected. He did not raise his voice. He weighed in. Revised procedures. Acknowledgement of failures. A formal communication by morning. It was not absolution. It was an aperture. Why was he doing this? Her gaze inquired. Because I was late once, he replied. I thought time would wait. Time does not wait. The answer settled in her chest like both an anchor and a refuge. A cross-current of wind scratched his voice at the end. I have another request. My father, ill, a decision within days. I need someone who speaks the truth without seeking benediction. You. A fissure beneath her sternum appeared. For a second, the bulwark was a sun. Her vulnerability ignited a respect she was loath to feel. I can assess. I am not God. I make no promises of healing. I do promise not to lie, he stated. He exhaled slowly. This was a pact he knew he could honor. Then I will bring the chief physician tomorrow. Here, without press, without commotion. She nodded. She accepted the visit, but not yet the bond. The radio crackled. Tinted windows 2 streets down. Faceless eyes. Zahir was surveying the perimeter. His expression remained unchanged. A terse command. Do not react. Not yet. He picked up the phone. 2 unmarked vehicles. A silent perimeter. A safety net beneath the impending fall. Inside, an envelope slid under the door. No sender. Light. An old photograph of her leaving the clinic. A note in delicate script. To whom you open your door, you close another fate. The faint scent of gasoline. The threat bore an anonymous mark. Her chest constricted. She did not tremble. She tucked away the paper. She extinguished the corridor light, leaving only the one in the living room on. A shadow stirred at the window. Her cell phone vibrated. An unfamiliar number. If it's tomorrow, he won't breathe again. Her brother had become a target. Fear had sharpened into a blade. She inhaled slowly, counting to 3. She answered the void. Come then. Courage, she knew, spoke in a whisper. She glanced at the window. The security guards. Radio crackled. From his car, he understood without needing to see. The intuition of those who command and those who love is sometimes one and the same. He did not intrude. He had learned the parable of careful vigilance. Two men in shadow. Windows watched. Headlights extinguished. If I enter, she will lose me to hatred, he mused. If I remain, she might lose me to fear. The line was razor thin. He chose restraint. Another piece on the chessboard. In the last car, his mother, her face behind the glass, calm hands resting in her lap, a gaze that assessed intention. She did not alight. She observed. The silent blessing and the unspoken future demand permeated the air like an ancient perfume. She perceived it and filed it away. A memory returned like a faint glow. The market, a narrow aisle, the last vial of serum. Her hand, his hand, both recoiled. They were left without the serum, but with a lingering gaze. Perhaps everything had begun there. She closed the box of memories. The present demanded grit, not poetry. The street seemed to hold its breath. Neighbors drew their windows shut. Candles flickered to life. A plea for help over the internal radio. Child with a fever. She grabbed a thermometer, an antipyretic, her practiced composure intact. Duty was an anchor. She returned with sweat trickling down her nape, but her spirit was steady. He wove through the pre-dawn hours. Messages, rejections, people who understood the gravity of his name, people who simply obeyed. Exhaustion gnawed at his very core. He let her in. For a second, he closed his eyes. He refused to repeat the transgression of being too late. She withdrew the panel. She inspected the folder. She counted its pages with the meticulousness of one tallying heartbeats. Everything was in order. She pushed it shut. A soft click resonated. Should it, tomorrow, become a weapon? May it strike the intended target, she mused. The righteous path is not always the secure one. Her heart posed the question, what held greater value, justice or peace? He returned to the clinic entrance. He did not knock, a presence guarding yet not encroaching. The bulwark, for a single night, endeavored to become a bridge. A biting gust of wind truncated another half-formed thought. He swallowed hard and remained. It pained him to acknowledge boundaries. It pained her to necessitate them. The pre-dawn chill relented by a single degree. Her brother coughed faintly. Stable, hope, with bare, quiet steps, entered the room. It lingered for a minute and awaited an invitation. She settled onto the metal chair. Two diverging paths lay before her. The first, a car at daybreak, the city as an audience, a stark light illuminating her face. The second, confinement, an inner tempest raging, the folder serving as her sole bulwark. From within the car, he punctured the silence. Tomorrow, at 7, Central Hospital. A closed session, 30 minutes. You speak. I guarantee your safety. Be back before noon. Your brother will not be left unattended. The streets will be my domain, he stated. She deliberated. I will go if he remains stable, she countered. Otherwise, it will be done here. He conceded the conditional. Power seldom countenances such caveats. Before stepping inside, she turned back. Should this ordeal conclude, will you permit my departure? His ensuing pause was telling in its honesty. I will endeavor to do so. She discerned the unspoken implication. He lacked the capacity to make such a pledge. The truth, though painful, brought a measure of calm. In the alley, a patrol car idled, its lights extinguished. Another materialized on the corner. The street, in silent acknowledgement, subtly reconfigured its dynamics. Zahir retreated a half-step. The game had not ended. It had merely shifted its playing field. She extinguished the last remaining lamps. She lay down beside her brother. On the low-slung mattress, the ceiling seemed to press closer. Her heart throbbed with heightened intensity. Share your thoughts below on how you would proceed. If you subscribe to the notion of second chances, indicate as much in the comments. At daybreak, does she cross the threshold into the chambers where fates are arbitrated, risking reduction to a mere bargaining chip, or does she remain, clutching the folder, confronting the inferno, and wagering that the time painstakingly secured will prove sufficient to salvage both their lives? The day broke before the sun's ascent, gray and devoid of promise. She verified her brother's pulse. Warm, stable. She left a note for the neighbor, secured her hair, and stowed the folder. She opened the door and departed as one granted no reprieve. The car awaited. He alighted. He refrained from touching her. He opened the door. "Good morning," he offered. She assented. She stepped inside. The frigid air enveloped her like a deep lake. The engine hummed softly. The city, a blur of motion, receded outside. It appeared safe. It felt like a deception. 3 blocks later, he spoke. "I dispatched provisions months ago. Intercepted. Zahir." The name seemed to adhere to the window pane. She offered no gratitude. Her gaze subtly altered. Certain desolate evenings now had a name, an old scar, now elucidated. The central hospital loomed, a glass vessel, exhaling doors, marble mirroring her exhaustion, the scent of antiseptic and lucre. His entourage parted, untouched. He was a wall. She, a vertex. Eyes came. Eyes went. Nothing deflected her spine. In the boardroom, floor-to-ceiling glass, a long table, the auditor, dark circles under his eyes, the chairman of the board, tie askew, 2 restless directors, his mother, seated, silent, a presence like a judgment. She set down her bag. "No hidden recording. 30 minutes. And do not interrupt me," he confirmed with a look. She opened her folder. Marked pages, dates, deposits, signatures, his envelope, now the legitimate progeny of the investigation. The auditor paused at a critical juncture. The same hand on both inflows and outflows. The trail led to Zahir. Behind it, an acronym that touched the very foundation of his family. He did not flinch. His face hardened, unwavering. "Cleanse everything, beginning with us." His mother held his gaze. To sever one's own flesh is also power. The room assented out of fear and deference. The air grew rarefied. She recounted the routine of decay, queues forming before dawn, antiseptic in short supply, unanswered emails, last-minute protocol shifts, a man hawking counterfeit documents outside the clinic, the threats in the alley, the derisive laughter of those who believed she had no recourse. The director to her left attempted a crooked smile. He insinuated negligence. His mother cleared her throat. It sufficed. Silence. The chairman cleared his throat. A phone vibrated. A notification rattled the table. A video surfaced. Her entering his car at dawn, accompanied by a malicious caption. They attempted to dismiss it all as mere rumor. "Do not look down," he instructed. "Remove it from the air," he commanded, his voice level. The wound manifested, yet no blood flowed. She offered no explanations. None were required. Sometimes the truth simply needs to persist, to breathe, until the clamor exhausts itself. The auditor officially requested the investigation's reopening. A 48-hour freeze on all accounts linked to Zahir, protection for the clinic, a secure room for testimonies, duplicate files, unabridged. The chairman signed. His hand trembled. The pen felt heavy. A mere crevice was becoming a thoroughfare. The price arrived on gilded paper. To safeguard the ongoing process, they proposed her temporary removal, a sabbatical cloaked in a veneer of concern, and, should the controversy escalate, a public appearance alongside him. "And an alliance," someone uttered. The word reeked of urgency and manipulation. "I am not a showpiece," she retorted, "nor currency." His mother inclined her head. She proposed a pact of public decorum. "We'll safeguard your reputation if you don't falter midway." He took a deep breath. "Don't turn care into a leash." The retort was polite. It stung and it taught. The room relearned to listen. She requested a minute, a glass corridor, the city stirring below. ICU adjacent. He stopped 2 paces away. "My father," just with his eyes. She looked. Inside, a once large man dwindling. Monitors, tubes, his skin the color of the sheets. The old man opened his eyes, searching for a daughter who would no longer enter. Their shared sorrow found a silent bridge. She returned. Protocols were sealed. Her testimony on fixed camera, unedited. He guaranteed it. His mother left. She touched her son's hand as one passes a baton, on strength, and then she was gone. The elevator descended. The two stood side by side, hands near, without touching. "Do you trust me for a morning?" he asked. "I trust what you do, not what you feel," she replied. It was the closest they could come to peace. The car traversed the waking city, vendors unfurling their storefronts. His phone vibrated like a swarm. He declined calls. The silence between them carried weight and purpose. Desire surfaced, ached, and was reined in. Not now. Not like this. In the rearview mirror, a dark SUV. Too close. Too quiet. He changed lanes. The SUV persisted. He swerved down streets lined with ancient trees. Shortcuts he knew. For now, they worked. Her heart charted the route like a scar. They arrived at the alley. The clinic. Door closed but lights on. Strange. 2 men checked the perimeter. They opened the door. The heat embraced them without ceremony. The fan still dormant. Her brother slept. The blanket in place. The briefcase in its hiding place and undisturbed. On the table, however, a glass of water filled to the brim. Beside it, a crushed flower. She surveyed the room with trained eyes. Everything in place, almost. The wall clock was 15 minutes fast. A minor detail. An immense message. "Don't touch anything," he said. She then noticed a detail in her brother's lab coat pocket. A red thread, a poorly tied bow, a child's message, or from someone who wished to appear as one. Her phone vibrated. A photo, the same flower, another table, a masculine hand holding a capped syringe, a short caption. "How about trading secrets for safety?" Signed, an initial, Z. The air grew thin. The threat didn't shout. It whispered within the house. He moved closer, without touching her. "We're getting him out of here. Today. Somewhere safe." She looked at her brother. The street. The briefcase. If she fled, she'd lose the invisible net protecting her. If she stayed, she'd open the window to hell. Fear and courage locked gazes. Her body opted to stand firm. Her mind pleaded for a reprieve. A gentle tap. The neighbor, bearing broth and wide and startled eyes. Someone in the corridor hummed a lullaby, then vanished. Zahir was playing Phantom. The most insidious power is that which learns to inhabit one's sleep. He closed his eyes for a second, calculating routes, discerning inevitable losses in both. She adjusted her brother's pillow, her hand resting on his chest. His rhythm lent her strength. "They won't dislodge us through fear," she murmured. He grasped the latent peril within her words. The primal urge to whisk her away from that place resonated deeply within him, yet the imperative to question spoke louder still. Share below what you would do. If you believe in second chances, leave a $1 in the comments. Does she accept the retreat, entrusting her brother's safety to the man who once wounded her? Or does she remain, transforming the clinic into the battlefield Zahir intends to ignite? She chose to remain. Her voice emerged calm, her body assuming a stance of readiness. "I stay, with conditions. No one touches my brother. No one touches the folder. You listen to me before you act." He assented, offering no dispute. He divested himself of visible weaponry, trading steel for sheer presence. The silence grew taut, yet it breathed. He reconfigured the perimeter as one might adjust the frame of an antique painting. 2 on the street, 1 on the roof. Vehicles withdrawn, warm light in the windows, no sirens, no fanfare. He requested a gesture of trust from her. She sent 3 brief audio messages. "I am here. I chose to stay. If I go silent, come with light." The alley listened and responded with an ancient whistle, the same lullaby in a subdued echo. Who was hunting whom? Generators arrived discreetly in maintenance vans. The fresh, cool air circulated silently. Genuine saline solution. Pristine sheets. Plaster saints gained eyes that filmed. Saint Joseph watched the corner. Our Lady guarded the door. The sacred and the tactical sharing the same shelf. The neighbors peered, a mix of curious, offended, and spellbound. Luxury brushed against poverty unapologetically, and it stung. A slender envelope slid under the door. "Midnight, alone. Rialto Cinema. Bring your voice. Leave the evidence." He read it, reread it. Zahir's words were etched with a blade. The hour, a sentence. The place, a memory. She declared she would go. He declared she would not. They both stood at the precipice of something nameless. Who would yield? Who would hold firm? He proposed a third path. We go together. You enter. I'll provide cover. Unseen. Uninterfering. I will listen. If I appear, the agreement is nullified. She hesitated, recalling the ceiling painted with constellations, from his father's hand, resonating with unspoken scenes, before illness purloined the laughter. Rialto bore the scent of forgotten grandeur. The past cast a profound shadow. Earlier, he had stopped by the hospital, observing his father, shrunken in the cavernous bed. The old man's eyes fluttered open, and with a feeble strength, he made contact with his son's wrist. Do not forfeit the living for the sake of your own. The counsel pierced him, an insidious blade. Upon his departure, his mother waylaid him. Do not lose the young woman over your adherence to method. He committed both admonitions to memory, as one would safeguard two vital maps, and he opened a drawer he had never previously accessed, retrieving an antique ring, devoid of public provenance. Into his pocket it went, a tangible weight, not a pledge. Night descended with alacrity. The alley deepened into an impenetrable gloom. A drone bisected the sky, casting a slender blue beam. He lifted his gaze. A mere gesture. A network. Silent rotors. Zahir observed. They were cognizant of his surveillance. The game proceeded. The Rialto exhaled the scent of mildew and the lingering fragrance of another century. Patched window panes, threadbare velvet, dust motes pirouetting in shafts of light. From the mezzanine, he remained unseen, an earpiece nestled in his ear, his pulse held in rigid check. Two men stood far off, like insubstantial, breathless specters. She was on the stage, her steps resolute, the very timber seeming to acknowledge her valor. Center stage stood Zahir, devoid of henchmen, a rosary entwined in his fingers, the villain cloaked as a devotee, or, perhaps, the devotee poorly served by his own self. You blundered into the purview of power, he stated, his tone deceptively mild, and now you seek to dictate mine. She did not recoil. Speak, she commanded, and do not lay a hand on my brother, not even with your shadow. His gaze appraised her defiant periphery, attempting to diminish her, but she remained indomitable. The first miscalculation was born of ego. He raised a cell phone. Its screen illuminated the clinic from an aerial perspective, her brother slumbering, the alley, a crumpled flower. The time on the clock advanced, omnipresence weaponized. A single gesture would suffice, a mere refusal. In the mezzanine, he gnawed at the railing, a silent testament to his internal struggle. Their compact was inviolable, yet the impulse to contravene clamored for release. He resisted. For now, she did not open the folder. Instead, she produced a recorder and pressed play. The voice of a man Zahir recognized recited the intricate scheme, a corrupt liturgy, like a psalm intoned in reverse. Figures, names, passwords, shell foundations, emergency contracts. Zahir's eyes flickered with apprehension. The betrayer spoke with the very cadence of trust. Blood spilled from within inflicts a distinct, profound anguish. It pierces with certainty. From his vantage point above, he linked the words to buried memories. The acronym of his own family's foundation abutted the ill-gotten gains. The truth stung. He did not deny it. He did not defer. He dialed. Execute it. Begin with our own. The sovereign severed his own shadow. His mother, somewhere, would have heard, and silently assented. The lights flickered. Twice. The stage clock displayed 11:45 p.m. The clinic's deliberately erroneous clock, from a distance, seemed to mock. Zahir's entire countenance brightened. You are ever premature for the denouement and tardy for the overture. The true arena lay elsewhere. He was the first to grasp it. A desiccated voice crackled through the earpiece. Return to the clinic. Immediately. 2 on the rooftop. 1 with the neighbor. Interior lights illuminated. Exterior, extinguished. Routine sounds. Let the predator perceive hunger and be ensnared by the mundane. Zahir advanced 2 paces. His rosary, a fragile counterpoint, brushed against him. What is your desire? She inquired. My reputation unsullied, the clinic vibrant, my brother breathing, and the accounts restored to the populace. A steep price, he countered. Too late. The phrase had been meticulously choreographed, but the mask fractured when a faint cough drifted from above. A child in the loggia, a mask on his face, enormous eyes, an IV drip suspended. A father. The world inclined a single degree. A fissure appeared in Zahir's stoic demeanor. Just a second, sufficient to reveal the latent wound that governed him. The boy called out, "Father." The word descended like a clamorous mercy upon a floor accustomed to dictates. He, from his vantage, shifted the fulcrum of the plan. Bring a portable respirator, a pediatrician to the alley. Now, not for negotiation, but for salvation. And remember this. Let it be recorded on which side we stood. Zahir attempted to recompose his discourse. He spoke of deadlines, of weary politicians and jaded tribunals, of public oblivion. She cut him with surgical precision. The populace does not forget who healed their child, nor who caused another's child to suffer for mere vanity. The blow struck bone deep. The ensuing silence wounded him in a manner no overt threat ever had. Her phone vibrated. The neighbor. They tampered with the clock. The tape vanished. Footsteps in the corridor. The brother stirred restlessly. Her legs moved before her mind could process. He broke the tacit agreement by 3 steps, not to assert dominance, but to initiate the retreat. The earpiece crackled with urgent dispatches. The city parted wherever it could. A procession of candles occupied the avenue. He descended from the vehicle. He requested passage with a subdued voice and a respect devoid of theatricality. He did not purchase a miracle. He received it. The candles parted, forming an aisle, 2 sides. The most powerful man sought permission, and the city afforded him an unexpected measure of humility. The alley constricted further, a red ribbon on the floor, a severed vein, the door ajar, indecisive light. His brother, perspiring, eyes struggling to regain focus. On the table, a doll belonging to no one, a plastic eye staring blankly at the ceiling. From within, a beep, a tracker, a malevolent pathogen. She opened the doll with delicacy, found the plate, fell silent. Her chest heaved against the railing and then subsided. He almost reached out, his hand halting mid-air, conveying his presence without uttering a word. Another note. Final warning. Either you desist, or he perishes. Fine script, unambiguous cruelty. The room became replete with a profound, oppressive silence. No woman ever lasted with him, they would say. Those who stayed didn't do so for lack of an exit. They stayed by choice. She sat, straightening her spine. She resolved not to kneel before fear. He pulled out a simple sheet of paper. He wrote as if carving into himself, I, by my full name, authorize and demand the disclosure of any failing on my part or that of my household in this process. If I fail, destroy me. He signed it. He placed the paper on the table. It was no proof of love. It was proof of character, a document of risk, a plea for justice. The auditor came on the line, his voice strained. A court order had arrived. Search and seizure. At the clinic. At dawn. They come cloaked in legality with mud in their pockets. He closed his eyes for an instant. This was the counteroffensive. Power washes its own blood by flinging its mud onto foreign ground. The question shifted. To speak out or to protect? She walked to the window. The alley seemed to hold its breath. Her brother turned over. No heroes standing tall, just weary people. She did not raise her voice. Then come. But first, listen to me. Live. He didn't stop her. He called those who couldn't be bought. Community radio. Independent broadcast. 6 in the morning. The city would hear from the place where it ached most. The most perilous plan. The most just. He checked on his father in the hospital via video call. Still awake. Still frail. The old man's lips moved soundlessly. The son understood the unspoken message. Preserve what is alive. His mother replied with a terse message. Don't let the haste to silence appropriate your name. 2 compasses. 1 night. A single shot. The lullaby returned. Faint, as if emanating from the drain. He amplified the comforting sounds of daily routines. The clatter of pots, the radio's hum, rehearsed laughter, clear noise to confound the encroaching darkness. The city noticed. In windows, lights flickered on a little earlier than usual. The neighborhood, though uncredentialed, mounted a vigil as best they could. The women prayed. The men crossed their arms. Curious children sensed that something momentous was about to unfold. He leaned against the doorframe. He asked for nothing. He merely offered time. She straightened the sheet, checked the pressure, verified the IV drip. She touched the folder as if consecrating a perilous object. She took a shallow breath, then a deep one, and decided without revealing her choice. When the sun strikes the alley's iron and the cars align, will her voice emerge like a blade, or will it remain guarded to safeguard what she cherishes? Comment below what you would do. If you believe in second chances, leave a 1 in the comments. She activates the microphone, daring to transmute love and pain into ordnance against the Imperium. Or does she retract her own light to shield her brother? Embracing this guilt, and for how long? Dawn sliced through the alley, a pallid blue, the scent of scorched coffee. The warrant paper loomed like a blade. 6:10. She gripped the microphone, her hand steady. Her heart, however, was not. Her brother breathed shallowly. The air felt too rarefied. He sank to his knees, cold stone pressing into bone, shame tucked away in his pocket, love manifest in his gesture. "I will stand between you and whatever may come," he murmured. And he did. The journalist offered a brittle smile. The lawyer articulated dulcet assurances. Emergency conservatorship, a protective covenant. In practice, silk manacles. Is it worth exchanging breath for a voice? The neighborhood formed a human bulwark. Pots and pans, fixed gazes, recording cell phones. The operations chief raised the paper. 3 minutes. The radio crackled with static. It wasn't merely her speaking. It was the entire city striving to articulate through a single throat. Her brother coughed. A thread of blood appeared. She rushed to him, dabbing it away with care. She whispered, "Stay. I'm staying too." He held his breath on her behalf. In his pocket, the ring felt heavy, a tangible inherited guilt. His mother typed without punctuation. Act appropriately, no spectacle. His father, on video, moved his lips. Keep the live feed going. He nodded, a solitary gesture, and knelt again, internally. The attorney cleared his throat. If you accept the conservatorship, the search will be suspended. If you refuse, they will enter immediately. The street groaned audibly. Zahir would purchase silence with mere breath. Who would sell such a thing? Her cell phone vibrated. A photo of a dismembered doll. Another, resting on the lap of an alley child. A terse caption. Seeds are sown. Harvest today. Trackers embedded in toys. The fear was pedagogical and inexpensive. He took a step forward. "I will sign away everything that dismembers me. A prepared renunciation, powers of attorney. I'll open accounts. I'll surrender names. But I will not silence you with my surname." The sovereign collapsed, yet remained standing. She touched the paper. Rough, cold, waited. If he falls, who will hold up the ceiling? If he does not fall, who will pay for what has already been pilfered? The question swept through her like a gust of wind. The journalist pressed the microphone closer. "Say you accept. Say you place your trust in him." The red light seared the corner of her eye. Light is not truth. It is intent. She remembered her father. The radio signal cleared. A child's voice, reedy yet resolute. "Auntie, may I speak? I don't want anyone to sleep. Not him, not me." The alley drew a collective breath. Just 1 second. Sufficient. He removed the ring, not for her finger but for the table, placing it between the microphone and the warrant. "We do not purchase life with a covenant. We purchase time with courage." The phrase grated against his chest and lingered. The chief glanced at his watch. 5 minutes, doctor. After that, protocol. He, too, was trembling. Underneath her vest, she had a child. Her brother squeezed her hand. His fingers traced a name in the air. Rialto. The memory stung. At the same time, a lullaby's whistle rose through the pipes. Zahir had a mouth in the pipes. Where else? He opened a discreet channel. Teams. Sweep for toys. Close the manholes. No panic. The tone was technical. His heart, however, was not. The father coughed on screen. He held the world with 2 fingers. The journalist raised the microphone again. The question was clear and unvarnished. Accept or not, she found her axis. I will not acquiesce. I will not accept any tutelage that silences me. I speak, and you will step in when I'm finished. The proper way. The street trembled. So did he. The lawyer smiled thinly. Let it be noted then. For your refusal, you bear the risk. The paper gleamed like a polished threat. Fear bit at her heel. She did not flinch. He placed his hand on the document. He signed the renunciation, a firm stroke, fresh ink. The paper imbibed courage. The ring remained where it was, a stone holding down a towel on a windy day. Inside, the monitor beeped. Her breath hitched. He moved as if seeking destiny's leave. He adjusted the oxygen. He counted softly. 1, 2, 3. I'll hold. You guide. The most powerful man knelt before a bedside. The city saw and filed it away. Outside, the police took 2 steps. The neighborhood took 3. Women in front, calloused hands, determined eyes. The chief assessed the situation. He conceded an inch. Without cutting the broadcast, the microphone brushed her mouth. Her voice emerged softly. Zahir is no ghost. He has contracts, forensic car and a sick child. I speak for those without legal counsel. If they silence me, they silence you too. The alley became a cathedral. His cell phone vibrated. A short video. The mother, in the hospital, stared into the camera. If you save one, you save the family. And she disconnected. He understood. He didn't need a legacy. He needed a choice. Her brother opened his eyes. Clear irises. Pure fear. He whispered, "Don't say my name." The pain of one who does not wish to become a headline. She kissed his forehead. I will protect you to the extent of my ability. And where my ability falls short, I will still endeavor. An unmarked vehicle turned the corner. Dark windows. Doors whose purpose remained a mystery. Not police. Not press. The alley contracted until it could fit into a pocket. His men lifted their chins. He moved his body. He positioned himself between the door and the bed. Not to be a hero, to be a wall. His gaze said, "Stay with me." His voice failed him. The chief raised the warrant. 6:13. 2 minutes. The air grew dense. The child in the alley cried from hunger. Life was simple. The moment was not. She closed her eyes for a second. She saw Rialto's constellation ceiling. She saw her mother in the public hospital corridor. She saw the night of the red ribbon. She saw him cutting funds without compunction. She saw him kneeling now. Pain and redemption stared each other down. She opened her eyes. "Teo," she whispered to her brother. "I will speak." He blinked once. Slowly. Permission or forgiveness? There wasn't time to find out. The door of the unmarked vehicle opened. An expensive shoe touched the wet ground. The perfume arrived before the face. The city held its breath. He recognized the shadow by its gate. An old ally. A new enemy. The journalist thrust the microphone forward. "Speak now, doctor. Protection at a price or courage with risk?" The lawyer breathed as if meticulously counting banknotes. The chief prepared his agents. The radio crackled. The lullaby came on again. Low. Insistent. He tilted his head. "If I ask for a minute, will you give it to me?" She looked at her brother, at the ring on the table, at the city hanging over her. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. The man in the expensive shoes smiled soullessly. "A simple proposal, kinda," he said. "I'll revoke the warrant, I'll bring the medication, I'll silence the guns. In return, silence, just for today." She trembled inwardly. Does it just for today become it forever, Ain? He took a step. Not for her. With her, there's no such thing as just for today, he said. There's what we endure tomorrow. The phrase hung suspended between the 3 of them. The alley waited. She raised the microphone. The sun struck the metal. The city leaned in to listen. The chief raised his hand, signaling the advance. The expensive shoe gleamed. Her brother squeezed her fingers. She breathed 1, 2, 3, and prepared her first word. Comment below what you would do. If you believe in second chances, leave a 1 in the comments. Does she speak and cross the point of no return, putting her brother in the crosshairs? Or does she lower the microphone for a minute and let him negotiate with the monster he helped create? Today, the word came out clean. The microphone's metal brushed her mouth. The radio responded in an echo. Today I speak. Her chest burned. The alley held its breath. He took a step back. He turned around. A wall with windows. Pale. The lullaby snaked through the pipes. Short time. Everything felt constricted. An expensive shoe lodged in the doorway. Sweet perfume. A smile that didn't reach the eyes. A thick envelope in his hand. A simple proposal. Medicine. Truce. Silence. For one morning. She opened the folder. Papers marked by long vigils. Cold stamps. Hand-drawn lines connecting donations and contracts and clinics. The name Rialto shone like a beautiful facade. Behind it, the dirty ledger. The emissary whispered softly, "Don't say that name out of context." The lawyer cleared his throat. The journalist switched on her light. The alley was too confined for such brilliance. Who could endure it? He cut through the air with composure. "Speak now. If the warrant is issued, the repercussions fall on me." The crown vanished. The column remained. The cell phone vibrated like a trapped creature. The father, on the screen, blinked slowly. "Hold the line." An anchor in his chest. He remained. She began with the marginalized, with the cues, with the medications that were scarce. Then she exposed the sordid link between foundations and shell corporations. She recited dates. She withheld the names of children. She protected the innocent. The radio hissed. It swelled into a sea of static. The lullaby rose a tone. He closed his eyes. He recognized the pattern. 3 notes. Pause. 4. Pause. Childhood returned like a password. His father had offered music before the violence. Engineering. Audio georeferencing. "Locate the manholes," he instructed. Crisp clicks responded. The neighbor turned off the faucet. The sound shifted. 3 children laughed, hands over their ears. The peril became more palpable. The boss checked his watch. He held on for another minute. A father's visage. Meager wages. Protocol etched into his mind. Doubt ingrained in his being. He saw an entire city encapsulated within a woman holding a microphone. And he resolved to stand firm. "Why Rialto?" the journalist inquired. "Because it purges guilt with ink," she replied. She pulled out a sheet of paper. Transfer. Date. Child Welfare Reform. Recipient. Zahir's Intermediary Corporation. The street collectively held its breath. "I'll dismantle this in 2 hours, the emissary declared. "It's merely paper. You operate an illicit clinic and a physician who was compromised by those in power. Do you truly desire this scrutiny?" It stung, but she did not break. She did not avert her gaze. He placed a flash drive on the table. Beside the ring, 2 medals, 2 destinies. "My father kept this," he uttered, his voice low. "I've come of age now." The fissure in the edifice of power allowed light to penetrate. She plugged it into the laptop. Folders, dates, short videos. A particular label struck a painful chord. Kitchen. Click. A hall with chandeliers. Men with tumblers. Fragmented dialogues. In the background, the lullaby. A signature etched in cement. His father emerged in one corner. Zahir beside him. Hands negotiating sums. A clandestine gesture of complicity. The ailing child. A mere bargaining chip. The neighborhood converged as if around a bonfire. Heat emanating from secrets catching fire. The lights died with an abrupt snap. The generator sputtered. Fear gaped open. A green screen. A world adrift in void. She breathed. He didn't deliberate. Car inverter. Blue cable in the hallway. Headlamp on the wall. The screen flickered back to life. The alley exhaled a soft murmur of fleeting loss and swift recovery. Sweat beaded on his collar. The ring gleamed like an eye on the table. A child asked for bread. The grandmother shared it. The drone hummed faintly, a phrase truncated by a rotor. The song persisted. Obsessive. Subdued. "I do not sell my voice. I do not purchase salvation," she declared to the camera lens. This video reveals a compact. A boy's affliction serving as currency. The well-being of many as residual gain. I do not utter the child's name. I disclose the whereabouts of the agreements. No one is to enter until the upload is complete, the chief mandated. Subdued insubordination, the peril of the uniform. He contacted the judge. We possess substantiating evidence. Assurances. From the other end, a terse response. The city is attuned. Broadcasted. And brace for the fallout. He unsealed his resignation folder, a missive to the board, to his family, to his mother. If it pains, it signifies the persistence of life. He quivered. He remained. The ring remained off his finger, a suspended emblem. The sweep indicated 2 service conduits, covers removed, an inexpensive enclosure containing a microphone and loudspeaker, secured with adhesive tape, a child's missive. Do you hear me? I hear you. An ocular toy, a voice emanating from beneath the earth. The grandmother retrieved it with a cloth. Safeguard it. Incinerate it thereafter. The melody ceased for a fleeting moment. The ensuing silence resonated like a symphony. A brief respite. It was palm-sized. Teo requested water. A glass pressed to his parched lips, his tongue tentatively navigating the liquid. The monitor's tone subdued by a semitone, an implicit acknowledgement of gratitude. Life's resurgence manifested through the slightest movement. He synchronized his breathing. 1, 2, 3. From the studio, voices emanated. A truck driver, a school teacher, a mason, a nocturnal nurse. We are bringing a generator. We are bringing ice. The diminutive nation stirred. It raised its collective hand. The street exhaled with renewed vigor. Your brother's medication is in my vehicle's trunk, the emissary stated. Today, a shiver of recollection traced her body. Medication and silence presented on the same tray. Deposit it on the pavement for all to witness, and do not utter the child's name. His hand quivered for a moment. Who held sway over him? He disseminated emails to those not privy to the echelons of power. Videos, PDFs, devoid of any official communique. Solely raw content. The link is live, the anchor announced. The alley swelled into a veritable sea. A directive crackled over the radio. The chief terminated the call before the final syllable. Well-timed, resolute defiance. Just 2 more minutes, doctor. I shall ensure the remainder. A uniform is not merely an image. It represents a pillar of support. The street evinced a heightened degree of credence. Zahir operates from both the upper and lower echelons, she explained. From the apex, counsel and conditional benefactions. From the depths, ocular toys and conduits imbued with voices. I inhabit the intermediary space. When one commands the middle ground, the extremities invariably lose their impetus. The drone descended excessively. It struck a cable. A sharp crack ensued. It plummeted into a refuse sack. A childlike gasp. A foolish exhalation. The second drone ascended, to a considerable altitude. Cowardly. The sky seemed to hold its breath. An aged pickup truck rounded the corner. A crimson generator positioned in its cargo bed. The truck driver offered a toothless grin. He delivered. He connected it. The alley acquired an auxiliary lung. The sound achieved its full integrity. His mother telephoned. See it through to the conclusion. My son will invent the rest later. He closed his eyes. The shoelace knot of childhood finally cinched tight. It hurt, and it held. Upload 100%. Blue bar. Irreversible. The emissary exhaled through his nose. The threat had lost its sanctuary. You don't know how to play this game. Now, the price doubles. A mask attempted to adhere. It didn't stick. The ring went into his pocket. It was not a day for symbols. It was a day for pillars. He leaned one hand against the door frame. The other touched her shoulder. Just a touch. Grounding. Presence. Without a word, they declared their presence. The chief raised the warrant. Protocol. 2 agents advanced. The neighborhood sealed off the corridor. No pushing, no shouting, just standing firm. The oldest barrier in the world. Bodies stood like block letters. His phone rang. Nameless. His father. His father's voice was brief. I was wrong to hide it. Protection means exposing what causes harm and holding on to those you love. Check the email. Look after the young woman. The call disconnected. A file arrived. Kitchen 2. Play. The same hall. A different angle. Clean audio. Zahir's voice. Cold. Clauses. A judge. The judge's ring tapping against a glass. Names linked in a chain. A lullaby as the soundtrack. His father knew. He had kept it. Too late, yet just in time. The chief listened over his shoulder. He turned ashen. He recognized the judge, not from the news, but as his superior, as the very signature on his appointment. His world inverted in 3 seconds. The paper softened in his hand. The journalist filmed. The lawyer adjusted his tie. The emissary recoiled a centimeter. "Who gave you this?" The giant diminished before the unadorned alley. The city watched, and it wouldn't forget. Teo coughed softly. Perfect timing. She ran. Her forehead was warm, a little less so. A whispered, "Thank you" to the universe. The small room contained the world and held it silently. An open line with the prosecution. A steady voice. "We have received it. Procedure initiated. Protection requested for the doctor and her team." The chief exhaled. He almost laughed. He almost wept. The emissary seemed to shrink within his own suit. From the unmarked car, another man emerged. Without jewelry, without scent, the absence that terrified. He spoke into the emissary's ear. He changed the order. "Take them both, her and him. Now." The protocol turned into a blade. The police looked at the chief. The chief looked at the floor, at the video, the street, his uniform. No one breathed. He took a step. "Take me. Leave her. Leave my brother." His voice, on the border between courage and exhaustion. "It's not you they need. It's the story in her throat," replied the man without jewelry. The truth had a target. The aim hardened. The room seemed to shrink. She shattered internally, yet did not crumble into dust. She gripped the microphone. Red light again. The city returned into the same mouth. "Breathe. 1, 2, 3. The voice resurfaced. The chief's radio blared. 2 patrol cars under new orders. Superior command. The judge's name buzzed across the line. He closed his eyes for a second. Opened them a changed man. He decided with his very being. Held aloft the warrant. Tore it in half. Then in quarters. Paper rustles as it perishes. The alley thrummed. The war changed its name. Now it was body against order. The lullaby fell silent. Sirens distant. Footsteps approaching from 2 directions. Teo murmured something. A name or a plea. She leaned over him. The world contracted until it fit on the sheet, and the outside became vast. The briefcase felt heavy. The last envelope. The final, crucial piece of the puzzle. Exact address. Window. Time. The information that topples an empire or pulls a trigger. Her hand rose, stopped midair. The journalist asked for one more name. Just one more. The neighborhood held its breath. The emissary measured the distance to the door. The unadorned man picked up the radio. The helicopter scored the pale sky. She looked at her brother, looked at him, remembered his father on the screen, remembered her mother in the hallway, the crimson tie, the suit kneeling on the cold floor. Pain and redemption exchanged glances once more. She pressed the microphone to her lips and decided on the kind of courage that pains, but ultimately redeems. Comment below what you would do. If you believe in second chances, leave a comment. Does she reveal the address that topples the empire and risk becoming a target now? Or does she hold on to the last piece and negotiate the protection that could save Teo, the clinic, and the man who knelt for love? She pressed the microphone to her mouth. She didn't give the address. She gave the clock. If anything happens to me, Teo, or the team, the file goes public at 1800 hours. The red light burned away the fear. The alley seemed to hear the city's lock engage. The helicopter sliced through the air. Dust on her skin. Sirens devouring the sentence's end. She didn't blink. Hand on the envelope. Chest in rhythm. Is courage found in restraint or release? He stepped into the maelstrom, offering a middle ground. My name is now public. My culpability. 2. It was I who slashed the funding that fed the desperation he exploited. The voice came out clean. His face, however, did not. The figure of authority descended another rung, yet remained standing. The neighborhood packed the corridor, shoulder to shoulder. A wall of silence. The chief raised his palm. Make way for the stretcher. Move. Fast. No panic. The uniforms became a human corridor. Security became an imperative. The emissary lunged for the briefcase. The grandmother gripped his wrist with 2 fingers. Slowly release it. The unadorned man watched, his gaze leaden. Who would yield first? From the studio, the anchor's voice cut through the static. The timer is live. Everyone saw it. If they touch it, by 1800 hours the city will know where to strike. It hurt. It served its purpose. The nation held its breath as one. She adjusted the mask on Teo's face. New plastic. Warm sweat. He opened his eyes. 2 blinks. Stay. The monitor responded with a hesitant beep. A solitary hope. He leaned against the door. A human barricade. He looked at her. If I go, will you hold the line? She gripped the microphone. I will hold, and I will return. The decision hung suspended between them, and there it remained. The red ribbon resurfaced in her memory. The mirrored elevator. The music. Far too loud. Before, she would leave things unfinished, half-heartedly. Not anymore. Now she would commit herself fully, for both of them, and for that which had no name yet. The chief sketched the route, the back of the school, a gate ajar, a gas truck serving as a wall. The generator truck would double as an escort. Improvisation that transforms into strategy when life demands it. The unadorned man tilted the radio. A new order. The window shifted sides, he murmured. The threat changed its guise. The clock, however, did not. Who dictates the hour now? She brought the microphone to the lens. Zahir, do you hear me? By 1800 hours, either we embrace in the square, or the city will scream at your window. Hungry people know how to find a ladder. The alley seemed to nod in agreement, as if alive. He spoke softly, for her ears alone. I'll enter the Rialto. He'll open it for me. I'll lock it from the inside. You get out. A brief plan. No guaranteed return. Courage brushed against her skin like a cold blade. No, she said. It will break you. He smiled, devoid of pride. It's already broken. Now I'll see if it fits better. His hand brushed the pocket holding the ring. It remained there, a promise held in abeyance. Teo squeezed her finger. A small force, a complete plea. Stay, she almost cried, but did not. The mask sealed her resolve. The beep found its rhythm. One heart called the other back. The journalist approached, eyes moist, voice resolute. Do you want a final statement? She nodded. For the women who clean the Rialto, for the mothers in the queue, for the men who mistake power for protection, no one will purchase our silence any longer. A drone descended inquisitively. A stone flew up, missing its mark by a hair's breadth. It measured the distance. The sky watched, attentive. Fear, too. Who would yield first? The prosecutor came online. Civilian escort en route. 10 minutes. The chief calculated. A visceral understanding. 10 minutes meant 2 lives. Or an escape. The body chose before the mind. The emissary shifted targets. It was him. If you go in, you won't come out. He retorted, a wry edge to his voice. Then watch me delay the clock. 1 step, 2. His tie became a guillotine around his own neck. She retrieved a hand-drawn map from the envelope. Circles, arrows, schedules. He delivered it to his chief. Should I fall, adhere to these instructions. Should he fall, adhere to them likewise. The document bore the weight of a birth certificate and a last will and testament. The truck driver rattled the chassis. Ready. Engine at full throttle. People clinging to the bumper. The street became sinew. The neighborhood coalesced into a body. The din escalated. Fear receded by an inch. He ascended the generator truck. Standing, his hand braced against the roof. He needed to be conspicuous. A decoy with a name and a past. His gaze swept the Rialto horizon. Who will I be upon my return? The wind offered no reply. The dust, however, did. She propelled the stretcher forward. A wheel seized, then released. The metal groaned. The alley yielded space. A dog barked once, then fell silent. Fear whispers when the populace swells. The emissary gazed upward, seeking the window she had not specified. He found every single one. Nightmare for those who have always chosen for others. The unadorned man answered another summons. His face yielded a millimeter, a hairline fracture in the ice, The prosecutor, overseeing everything. 2 blocks. Hold the line. The chief assented, his hand slick with sweat. His uniform felt twice its weight. His honor. Thrice. At the corner of the gate, she cast a glance backward. She saw his grimy knee on the clinic floor. She saw his son with the askew shoelace. She saw a man learning to forge his entirety in the direst moment. Her lips chose, return. He assented, a weary half-smile, a half-given, whole promise. The wind tore down posters. One fluttered to her feet. No one abandons another. She folded it and tucked it into her lab coat pocket. A humble amulet. The microphone was pressed to her lips again. At 1800 hours, we either convene in the square, or the city will decry from every window. Your choice. Zahir. Ours has already been made. Over the radio, the nation became a resounding chorus. The truck sped off. The stretcher raced. The police split their resolve between duty and peril. The chief cleared a path. The neighborhood transformed into a living thoroughfare. The clock ticked louder than the propellers. A distant concussion rent the air. It was no engine. It was no fireworks. Silence descended like a blade. She engaged the brake. Her finger ached. The future hung suspended in that very second. Share your thoughts below on what you would do. If you believe in second chances, indicate so with a 1 in the comments. Does she return for the man who became the decoy, risking the loss of the protection window? Or does she proceed with Teo and unleash the 1800 hours ultimatum, toppling an empire and perhaps a love that has barely taken root?